now. All right. Hello, guys. Welcome to episode 2 of M&W Fiction Speaks podcast. Today, we're going to be going over Cinderella is Dead, the book, and other YA fantasy in general. So, first off, we're going to do Native American land acknowledgement, and I would just like to say I acknowledge that I am on Piscataway land.
And I acknowledge that I am on Monohoic land.
All right, then let's go over today's itinerary. First, we're going to do a spoiler free review. Then, after that, we're going to give our spoiler review. Then, after that, we're going to do a character ranking and also decide which actors could play the characters if this was ever adapted into a short series or a movie. Then after that, we're just going to be talking about YA books being turned into movies and TV shows. Then a subsection under that category is making Black characters lighter skinned or biracial. Then we're just going to talk about texturism, so like hair. Then after that, we're going to be talking about the future of YA books and what that would mean for young readers. Then lastly, we're going to give recommendations. All right. So boom, let's get into our spoiler-free review. Hello. I realized that we did not give a summary of what the book is about, so here is the summary of the book. Now, teen girls are required to appear at the annual ball where the men of the kingdom select wives based on a girl's display of finery. If a suitable match is not found, the girls not chosen are never heard from again. 16-year-old Sophia would much rather marry Aaron, her childhood best friend, than parade in front of suitors. At the ball, Sophia makes the desperate decision to flee and finds herself hiding in Cinderella's mausoleum. There, she meets Constance, the last known descendant of Cinderella and her stepsisters. Together, they vow to bring down the king once and for all, and in the process, they learn that there's more to Cinderella's story than they ever knew. This is a fresh take on a classic tale, will make readers question what they've always been told about happily ever after, and root for girls to break down the constructs of the world around them. All right, we can continue with the video. Of Cinderella is Dead.
All right.
Let's start that off.
Yeah, I can start it off. Um, you know, I felt like there was a lot of telling instead of showing, and so for me, gorgeous gowns, very gorgeous gowns. I did like some parts of it, but that I'll save that for the spoiler part. But those are my initial thoughts.
I think mine is similar to M, like my opinions. I think the world it has a really good premise. I like the idea of reconstructing the classic fairy tale and trying to like turn it into like feminist literature almost. But
Mm-hmm.
how I feel like it comes short is that the book itself is too short. Um, it was trying to
Mm-hmm.
get all of these big ideas and big concepts, and it feels like it was only like a paragraph when it should have been like a whole chapter. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I just wish
like
it
it's
was
trying to squeeze a lot into 370 pages.
yeah, like even if it was gonna be like one book, make it 800 pages. Like I wouldn't. I'm
Right.
I can read 800 pages. That's not a problem. So I just wanted like more because I just felt like it was really rushed. And this is not really a spoiler, but I feel like some relationships were rushed as well. That could have been more fleshed out. Then I also think that the character arcs for all of the characters were just pretty non-existent. Pretty non-existent, and that comes from the book being so short. And also, this is not like I find the main character very annoying. um, it's
We'll get into it.
We'll get into it. I found the character very annoying and just kind of not delusional, but like
Pretty delusional.
pretty delusional.
I'd
Maybe,
go with that word.
yeah.
Very like determined but delusional
Like
at the same time.
we gonna get into it, but Sophia, the main character, I like that she has goals and agency,
Mm-hmm.
but she doesn't think things through.
Mm-mm.
And I get it's a YA novel, but still, like I
Yeah,
need to have my characters have some planning in their bones, just some.
right. That's something that I noted that I was like, I understand that she's 16, but and that 16-year-olds probably do think like this. Like there probably are 16-year-olds that would act like that, but the truth doesn't always make for the best story. And like true to life character doesn't always make for the best character. So you could have made her a little better.
All right. And lastly, would I recommend this book?
No,
Honestly, no. I'm so sorry to say it. I was so excited to read this book
me
just based
too.
off of the premise alone of like having like a black Cinderella and like having
Hmm.
all these queer characters. Like I was like,
Hmm.
all right, this has to like deliver, and it did not deliver for me. It just didn't.
I would recommend it to a TV studio executive so that they can turn it into a TV show. And because I think I think if it had the space, it could turn into something really cool as a TV show, even as a book. Like if it had the space as a book, it could have been a very good book. But since the book is already out and we got to move past that, let's jump into a different realm of media and let's go to TV.
Yeah.
So that's who I would recommend it to. Otherwise, I think we don't really need to, no one else needs to read this book. I'm so sorry. It was not given what I wanted it to give.
Exactly, exactly. So let's get into the spoiler-free review. If you don't care about spoilers, continue. If you want to read the book, even though we didn't say you should, I don't know. Just do whatever you want. All
It's
right.
up to you. Do you?
Spoiler review. Okay. I have notes. I have notes.
Awesome. You can start us off.
Um, Let me start off actually with what I liked.
Okay.
Honestly. So Prince Charming being able to suck the life force from primarily women and queer people.
Mm-hmm.
I read that as like a metaphor of how traditionally women do all the emotional labor in a relationship and then men
Mm-hmm.
just take and do not put any effort in.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really like the idea of Manford living off of like what he takes from women. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was a really cool idea. Was it executed? No, but the idea was cool.
Yeah.
Then I also liked I like the class divide world building. Like
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning, it was talking about how only the richest girls have the prettiest like clothes and
Mm-hmm.
whatever. They have to look like they were visited by the fairy godmother. And I feel like this was also the case with Liv's story.
Mm-hmm.
Liv is a older girl. She was a forfeit at the first ball, and forfeits are basically girls that didn't get married the first time they go to this ball. So she has to go again, and she doesn't have any money to afford another dress. So and how she was singled out and eventually killed for not being able to afford a pretty dress.
Mm-hmm.
And also that a man that is richer than another man could put a claim on another
Yeah.
woman.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought that was cool. But going to Liv, I wrote an analysis on her character. I think Liv, and I feel like this is my favorite part of the story. I think Liv really wanted to believe in the system and
Mm-hmm.
that it would work out for her. She was very adamant about the whole fairy tale aspect of her situation and not the reality. Like Sophia and Aaron knew the reality. They knew that the fairy godmother, like most likely didn't exist. The magic really didn't exist. But like
Mm-hmm.
Liv, I feel like truly believed in that until
Mm-hmm.
the very end, and like her dreams were shattered because like
Yeah.
I felt that was like a really tragic and part of the story, and it was disheartening to see what she believed in failed her. So
Mhm.
I really liked that part of Liv's character. She, even though she dead, like I felt like that was a whole arc for her story, and like
Mhm.
then the last thing I just wrote this, so there are rules in this society that they have to keep in their houses, and
Yeah.
two rules that I actually liked and I felt that made sense were rule number two, and rule number two is, gotta scroll down. Whew, okay, rule number two: the annual ball is a mandatory event. 3 trips are permitted, after which attendees are considered forfeit. So
Mhm.
what I liked about that is that I think the book captured how society only values young women,
Mhm.
specifically barely legal
Right.
adults. As I have gotten older, I feel like I'm becoming less valuable.
Mhm.
So girls from 16 to 19 are eligible, and a man gets to go to the ball whenever he wants. Like there's no
Mhm.
age limit. He, like a 60-year-old man can get with like a 16-year-old woman, and
Right.
that's not cool.
Right.
But I think it just speaks to society about how a woman's value is her looks, and when
Mhm.
she grows out of being hot and young,
Mhm.
um, it doesn't matter anymore.
Mhm.
So I felt like that was a good part of the book. Then rule number five, scrolling down, 1, 2, 3,
Take that.
4, 5. All right, for their protection, women and children must be in their permanent place of residency before the stroke of 8 each night. And, that just speaks to how the patronizing argument that women should just stay home if they don't want to be harassed. Like,
Mhm.
that's just like, I kind of felt that. I'm like, yeah, that seems like a very not good, but like an effective way to control women's autonomy, because that's what's been used in like real life. So
Right.
that's like all of my positives for the book that I had. And I also really like Luke's character, Luke Langley,
Mhm.
the queer man. Um, Even though he didn't have much to do, like
No.
didn't have much to do. But and I also liked the knight character, um, Constance's like cousin. I forgot what was her name. Um, do not have her name, but
Night
she was
character.
cool with her sword at the end. Cool with her
The
sword.
one that was in the dungeon.
Yeah, the one that was in the dungeon.
Oh, wasn't it
Emil.
Emily or something like that?
Yeah,
Emil,
Emil.
something
Yeah,
like that.
Emil. But yeah. So that was my analysis. That's what I liked about the story.
Okay. I don't have that many. Like,
Oh, go ahead.
I liked Luke. At times I liked Constance. At times I did not like Constance. She was a back and forth character for me. Um, I liked the twist. I'm definitely gonna give her that. I like that again, they weren't executed well, but I liked the twist. I like that Manfred is charming, and it's always been charming. I like that we learned the fairy godmother. Well, one isn't like a fairy godmother; she's a witch, and Manfred is her son, um, and that she created him. Um, I wish it was executed better, but I'll get into that when we get to dislikes. But I like the twist a lot. Character wise, I really liked, and they're minor characters, but I really liked Liv's parents because Liv's parents seemed to be the only ones that were really like, yeah, like fuck this system. Everyone else is like, Sophia's parents were wishy-washy. They were like, we don't want you to follow the system, but you have to. And then we never really get to like see um Aaron's parents, but the fact that they like bought her for, I forgot his name, Edward or something.
Ed Ed Edward.
Edward. The fact that they bought her for Edward, kind of speaks to their moral capacity. So that's all I really need to know about them. But Liv's parents, no, I really liked Liv's parents because they were really down. They were like, yeah, this system is terrible. Um,
But and they weren't obnoxious about it either. Like so,
No, like she shows up at their door and they're like, "Oh my gosh, come in. Are you okay? Are you safe? Do you need anything? Like if you need anything, come back." Like the fact that they were like, come back. Like even her own parents were like, you need to go and never return. We don't want you here. Which I get it. I get it. We're living under an oppressive system. I understand that. But that's your daughter. Damn. You say, don't come back. Don't ever return. What else did I really like?
I like the part when she went to Cinderella's like chambers and found her journal.
Yeah, I like that. I also liked oh yeah, I really, really liked that. I thought that was gonna turn into Manfred like locking her up and doing a Cinderella part two. It did not, but that's what I thought was gonna happen. I really liked the moment when they go to Cinderella's tomb and they're like, yo, why she look like that? I like the I'm always down for a good ghost story, so I like the raising of her and her. I mean, does she provide anything? No, she could have talked a little quicker, but again, it's okay.
She's
I
been
really like
dead for 2 centuries.
I just feel like if I'd been dead for 2 centuries and somebody raised me, I would talk a little quicker. Let me get all this out. It's been so long, but I like to talk, so maybe that's the issue. Uh, what else was I about to say? Oh, I really like Luke. I do. He doesn't get a lot, but from the beginning, I really liked Luke. I felt like he was gonna be a really good ally, and then he disappears for like the majority of the book. But I really liked him.
What I wanted to happen, right? I wanted Sophia to marry Luke, right? And they would come up with a plan to
Mm-hmm.
get the fuck out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, let's just move into
And
this.
that's what I thought was going to happen. But it did not. So that was really interesting. I like the idea of the White Woods, which brings me to the fact, did nobody think that like having an area in this kingdom called the Forbidden Lands was a little sketchy? Like nobody can go there. I just feel like that's a little sketchy, but I digress. I like the White Woods. I wish that there were more creatures in it. I thought we were gonna get more like ancient mythological type creatures. All we got were like giant wolves. I wanted more. But I liked the White Woods as a concept, and the fact that like the fairy godmother slash witch slash Amina is just chilling in the White Woods. And I think that's it. We can move into dislikes. I have a lot of them.
That's it. Yeah, we can move into dislikes. Going to like Luke, like I really thought Sophia and Luke were just gonna get married and like formulate a plan to like get out of there. My main problem with Sophia is that so maybe I just have issues, but if I knew that I was going to have to go to a ball when I'm 16 and I didn't want to go to the ball, from 10 years old, I would be thinking of a plan to escape.
Mm.
It just seems like Sophia was just like, yeah, I don't want to go. Let me go about my day. Da,
Yeah,
da, da. Like,
like
did
even
you
she
come up?
didn't understand the concept of oppression. Um, like she kind of just expected everyone to just be like, okay, you don't have to go, as if we don't live in a oppressive environment. But okay.
Like, girl, come on. Because, like, and she's like giving so much flack to Aaron for not wanting to go with her. And
Mm-hmm.
like, Aaron's like, dead ass, like, do you have a plan?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, I can't live rough like you can. I need to be taken care of. Like, I'm not.
That I need to take care of. I will say that Erin is a hater, but but I understand that she needed a plan. But she's a hater. She didn't have to be so mean about it.
No, but I feel like if I've been pestered all my life, like, oh
Mm-hmm.
fuck this system, da, 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 and I see her not really doing anything about it, or
Mm-hmm.
her not coming up with a plan to be like, okay, here's how we can escape. All I hear is talk from Sophia, and it
Mm-hmm.
really bugs the hell out of me. Like,
No, yeah, it's like a lot of talk, and then even in like one note that I wrote down is that we never get an internal struggle, and I guess that was meant to happen before the book starts. Like she's already come to the conclusion that she wants to leave, but then I just feel like if you've grown up in this environment, even if you have an inkling that the story that you're being told isn't true, when you're told that it isn't true, you're not going to have any internal struggle about that. I feel like because if it's supposed to be a metaphor for what a patriarchy, or if it's a metaphor for race. When I learned about things that, like, okay, in history we learned that Abraham Lincoln settled the slave trade, he was a great person. When you learn that Abraham Lincoln was a racist, you're not gonna have any internal struggle about that. Like, she has no internal struggle. It bothers me. Everything is very external, but then the external isn't executed well. So what's the struggle? Where's the struggle?
So here's the thing. Sophia has had her grandmother that showed her that the system is
Yeah,
fucked up.
yeah.
And I think the internal struggle of the book is this like Constance and Aaron. That's the struggle. And it's a
Oh, that's
I
stupid.
I don't like the struggle.
I don't like
Because
that.
every time she checks out Constance, she's like, "Oh wait, but Aaron though." And I'm just like,
And it's like, does Aaron like you? like, like, can we process that? Does she like you? Because I feel like if she did, she would be here. I just, she would like, you guys could figure out a plan together, but instead she's got to just like, please leave me alone. I'm gonna follow the rules and live my life.
yeah, no, but like it's just the Aaron and Sophia. It's just it shouldn't have been the main struggle. Because like
Right.
that's where the book should have been longer to be like because it did feel like insta love, like that trope, the
No.
insta love trope
Yeah.
where like Sophia immediately likes Constance, and like I can kind of get it because this is the first like free woman she has seen. She's smart, she's strong,
Mm-hmm.
she's independent. Like I would fall in love too,
Mm-hmm.
but it feels like the author is almost like apologizing for like her falling in love too quick with these like nightmares and like thoughts about Aaron, because like the writer would be typing, it's like, oh yeah, Constance and Sophia getting along, being cute, da 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 da, da. But then she would be like, oh wait, Aaron, she loved Aaron for all these years, gotta write something about
But what does Aaron have to do with this right now? Does Aaron, we have self-awareness is key. Does Aaron like you? Think about it. Think about it. Please move on. Every time that she would bring up Aaron, I'd just be like, is this? But now that you're saying that that's meant to be the internal struggle, I agree. I think it is, but that's a stupid internal struggle.
yeah, not when everything else is going on. It would have been cool if like the internal struggle was of like believing in the world that she believed in.
Right. And there is like a little moment, like sometimes she has little moments where she's like, oh, that seems impossible. Like she has that moment with Constance, and then she has another moment with Amina where Amina's telling her all of these things, and she's like, can I really believe that magic is real, blah, blah, blah. All of this seems impossible, right? And so, but those moments are paragraphs. They're paragraphs. And that's where it comes back to, it just needs more space to flesh itself out. Because a paragraph of, can I really truly believe in this system that they're telling me about, isn't enough. It's not enough. And I think that there was a lot of convincing. There was a lot of trying to convince, because I was not convinced. There was a lot of trying to convince that Sophia is just this like very like gallant character, but it was just people saying, and there was no proof of it. Like, the girl has no plan. She can't fight. She can't, like, she's so, like, what would you do without Constance? Like, if Constance didn't show up, where would you be? Where would you be?
No,
She's
she would be
not.
in the tomb with Cinderella.
Right. You would be in the tomb with Cinderella.
Because like going way back to the beginning of the story, why did she could she just have chilled out? I'm sorry. Maybe I am corrupted by the
Chill out.
system or something, but like she needed to chill out, get married to Luke,
Mm-hmm.
formulate a plan to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Aaron would have come. Maybe Aaron would have come if you had a plan. But no, you had to pour punch on Edward, humiliate him, and climb out a window and run into the forest. And like even in the book, she was just like, "Yeah, I didn't have a plan. I just kept running." And Constance was like, "Hey, did you have a plan?" And she was like, "No, I was just gonna keep running." And Constance is
And
just
there's
like,
one point where she literally says, I haven't thought it through. And I remember just noting, really? I hadn't noticed. Oh my God. Well, she said I hadn't thought it through. It's like, yeah, babe, we know, we're aware that you haven't thought it through. We see.
Yeah, and I feel like what hasn't been explored is that whole incident she caused at the ball caused Aaron to get married to Edward. Edward. Yeah, because like if
No, I thought Aaron's parents had already bought her for Edward.
really because like I feel like if Sophia didn't like do all of that, like Edward would have just like maybe left Aaron alone. Maybe I'm misreading. Maybe I'm misremembering because
I thought
like
there was a point where it said that so that Aaron's parents had already, because Aaron was like, I can't just leave. My parents have spent too much money. And it's like, so I don't know if it's directly said, I cannot remember, or if it was implied, but I got from it, so it might have been directly said. I got from it that her parents had spent money so that Edward, yeah, I remember, yeah, it directly said that they had paid Edward to pick Aaron.
okay. Okay. Well, even so, I feel like he's a horrible person. He probably would have beat Aaron anyway, but like
Yeah, but it would definitely
less.
didn't help.
Like
That's
Sophia
Sophia
didn't help
through.
Aaron's situation.
No, no, not at all.
Yeah.
And then going on to Edward, the fact that he beats Aaron because he says that it's her fault that they're still in the, yes, because now I remember it, because he beats her because he says that it's Aaron's fault because they're still in like the vicinity of, they're still in the poor people area, and he wants to go to the rich people area. And it's because her parents haven't paid her dowry yet. That's the issue, because they need to pay the dowry so that he can afford the house in the rich people area.
It's just like that was a whole thing. And like going back to like character arcs, we were just like before the show we were discussing that what was Sophia's character arc? And I thought it would be since the internal struggle was of um feeling guilty about Aaron and like leaving her behind and maybe forcing these ideas on Aaron when Aaron was just completely not interested.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that would be the end. But so I have this quote, right? I have this quote because I had to go find it. It's on open your books class to page 303. But so the context of this is that Aaron, before they go to like the final battle, right? Essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Sophia wants to go visit Aaron to convince her one last time to come with them or something of the sort. And the Constance is just like, maybe you shouldn't go. But Sophia is like, no, I want to go. But then Sophia is having this moment of reflection where she says, it feels like all I ever did was cause her pain. I never wanted that. She chose to do what was expected of her. And can I really blame her? Maybe I was selfish for trying to get her to change her mind. You weren't selfish, Constance says. You saw a future for yourself that she couldn't imagine. You wanted her to believe that the two of you could find a way through all of this. That's what happens when you care about someone. And when you're brave enough to imagine a different life. Constance, do not encourage this behavior. Do not encourage this behavior. You were being selfish. You were.
Right, because there's a moment where Aaron is literally again talking about her family and being like, I can't just leave my family, in this situation, and they've already paid money to have me be married to Edward. And she literally just goes, who cares?
Yeah, like I don't care about that. And
that's where it's also like she's wishy-washy between she just doesn't want to be a part of the system. She just wants to run away with Aaron. And then she wants to destroy the entire system because all women shouldn't be treated like this. And she needed to pick one. And she needed to pick which one she wanted to do. Because those are two very different stories. To want to just run away from the system versus to want to destroy the entire system. And I feel like she doesn't really pick one until Constance comes around, and Constance is like, let's destroy it. And that's where she's like, oh, that's impossible. We can't destroy it. Like, I just want equal footing. And it's like, girl, if you don't, what is this white feminism? If you don't destroy this entire system and rebuild from the beginning, oh my God.
Well, let's talk about the ending. So that whole
Oh
like
my God.
metaphor of burning the castle down,
She got a little passionate. She got a little, before the job was done, she got a little passionate.
honestly, let's backtrack real quick before how they killed Manford was also just uneventful too. It was
Oh my God.
uneventful too.
Because it was like, I like that, okay, they're connected. That's cool. I like that part. And then they kill Amina, and I thought once they kill Amina, it was just gonna be done, right? We was gonna be over, he was gonna be dead. But then I was like, there's no way, because it felt very, if you have you ever heard of Chekhov's gun?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, there's no way that they're gonna introduce Cinderella's dagger and not end up using it. Like Constance can't be the one to kill Manfred. So her killing Amina can't be the end of Manfred. So I was like, so how are they gonna do that then? Because they're connected. Manfred is gonna die. And then to have him still be able to walk and he like this slow death was so annoying. I didn't care. I said, okay, that's how they're gonna do it. And then he turns into dust. I was like, okay. I just feel like this man is 200 years old. Why is he slow dying? That man is far past his expiration date. That man should be instantly dead after you kill Amina. So you should have just had Sophia kill Amina, or you change the story up a little bit.
No,
I don't have any suggestions on how you can change the story, but change it up.
no, listen, that's not our job. We just here to critique
Right,
it.
right.
But like another thing, just talking about the ending, they were talking about how they had to like create all these plans and like
Oh my
hatch
God.
out plans, and what their actual plan in the end was just so freaking simple because okay, so there's another ball that's happening, right? Manford is wants to draw out Sophia to like kill her, you know, evil king shit, right?
Right.
And they just end up going to the ball. And I'm like, you took all of that planning just for you to just walk up into the ball?
Yeah, like they just stole another girl's invitation. And then as she's handing over the invitation, because Sophia just loves to have a moment of reflection that isn't really reflection, she goes, oh my God, I can't believe I stole this girl's invitation. She's probably sitting at home wondering why she wasn't invited. And now I feel bad. But you're still going in. So do you feel that bad? I just, you could have thought about this earlier because you stole this girl's invitation like 2 chapters before. I just feel like there's that. Why? Like all of her reflections are delayed. They're all delayed reflections.
It's
Also, going into King Manfred real quick, I hate a villain who's just a villain. I love a villain with a backstory. I want to know what made him evil. Was it rising him from the dead? Like if you rise somebody from the dead, are they just automatically evil? But they rose Cinderella from the dead, and she wasn't evil. So I was like, okay, we got to cross that out. Like, what? Why does he go in this direction?
I
What
feel
does he want
like
with his kingdom?
I feel like he goes in this direction because like I I feel like Prince Charming just has a fragile ego.
Mm,
Um and just talking about like how men have that and cuz Cinderella like originally doesn't like Manford at all.
mm,
Like she was drugged into
yeah,
like a love potion by the fairy godmother to like marry Manford. And his whole idea was just like controlling the woman around him.
right,
And I feel like he did genuinely love Cinderella. It's just that he had to have control in that relationship.
right.
And when Cinderella came out from the potion, she like, he didn't have any
Yeah,
control over her anymore.
yeah.
And I feel like that broke his heart. Uh,
Yeah, like I feel like post Cinderella, I understand his motives. I feel he has a broken heart and he's moving with ego instead of with compassion and love. And so I get that. I feel like prior to that, I want to know how he died, why she brings him back, why is he evil when he comes back? What does this kingdom have to do with anything?
you just
I
needed
just
like
like I
400
need a little bit more backstory to my villains. I hate a villain that's just a villain for the sake of being an antagonist or a protagonist. I need a backstory for my villains.
And also, my thing is like I don't mind a villain that's just a villain. Like I think of
Mhm.
what's her name from Emperor's New Groove,
Oh, Yzma.
Yzma.
Love her.
Yzma is fantastic. Does she
But
have?
she has a backstory.
She does.
She wants to be. She wants to. I consider it a backstory. She wants to rule, and this idiot is in her way. She's like, I would be a better ruler. I know what I'm doing because, and she's been doing it all behind the scenes anyway. He's just a figurehead. She does all of the work, and so she's like, why am I doing all this work just to give this figurehead more attention when I'm doing all the work? So I consider that a backstory. I don't even need like a full childhood, whatever. I just need a reason. And I feel like after Cinderella, we have that reason. He's doing it because of a broken heart and a bruised ego. But before Cinderella, like, what is Amina's reason to raise her son? I mean, I guess it's your son, but and I guess I mean, if you have the power to raise your child from the dead, I don't know. I guess I would use it. I don't know. It depends that I like the kid. I guess I would use it. It depends. So but I wanted more. I wanted more.
Yeah, the reasons were a little muddy. I'll give it
Yeah,
that.
they were a little muddy.
Because like a good villain one has to just be charismatic, in my
Right.
opinion. Like I just think of all the old Disney villains about
Mm-hmm.
how you remember Cruella from
Mm-hmm.
101 Dalmatians. You don't
I
remember
love
the
her.
old, you don't remember anyone else. You remember that fur coat that she wanted to make, which would have
Right.
been devastating, by the way. Anyway,
Right.
I digress. It's
It
just
would
that
have been devastating.
I feel Manfred could just had so much more swag, so much more like I think of the Darkling from Shadow and Bone. Like he just could have been so much more freaking charismatic and
Yeah,
he wasn't.
not at all.
But anyway, going back to the castle burning at the end.
Oh,
The
yes.
destruction of the patriarchy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She just gave a speech. She was just like, all right, King Manfred is dead. New World Order. And some men were just like, did you just kill the king? Like, you just uprooted our way of life? Like,
Right.
no, we're not gonna follow you. And then she was like, you better. And then, like, I don't know, something happens, like a fight happens, and that's the end of that. But then we just get a quick epilogue. I like Constance being the queen.
Yeah, I do like that. And her having a council.
Yeah, but it's just like, it just ended too freaking quickly.
Yeah. And it's another issue of space. It should have been a trilogy. But anyway, another issue of space. Cause it ends like there's, and then they quickly say that some people are still out there fighting to regain the old system. And then I think Edward was killed or locked up. I don't remember. Could you imagine being Aaron though? Like the last time that they talked, she was like, "You're not special. You're not gonna change anything." And she burns down the castle. I'd be so embarrassed. I would just leave town. It's obviously because can you imagine that's your last interaction, and the next time you see her, she's burned down the entire castle and changed the system. That's really awkward. I would leave town. There's no coming back from that. I would just have to. I would have to go somewhere else.
Yo, but I wouldn't blame Aaron again because, like, no, really, because Sophia could have failed multiple times. Like, feel like the armor of plot was strong with Sophia. Like, it realistically, okay, let me just say, for example, okay, I wanted to end the oil company. And
Mhm.
like I don't know, I just like go up to all the oil companies and like just burn that shit down. Like
Uh-huh.
that's not in the realm of possible. I get that this is a fantasy book. I get it.
But you need to root it in something that is possible. That's what the best fantasy does, right? It roots it in something that's possible. Like we're reading the fifth season for I haven't finished it, so don't say nothing. We're reading I have 100 more pages to go. We're reading the fifth season for another podcast episode. And I feel like that is, even with all its fantastical elements, it is rooted in something, it's rooted in oppression. And that is something that is tangible. That is something that people have experienced. And even with all, like, there are rules to this world, like with like certain, I don't know what to call them, castes. I'm thinking of like the stone eaters. With the stone eaters, there's rules to being a stone eater. So if a stone eater just suddenly starts working like an origin does, it wouldn't make any sense. And I feel like that's what she does. She kind of just says something in hopes that we'll just all go along with it.
No, and
But it
another
needs to
good
be rooted
point
in something.
that you brought up with the fifth season. By the way, that's like one of the best books I've ever read in my life.
Listen,
I'm I'm not trying
I
to
went to
spice
Barnes and
it.
Noble yesterday and
Yeah,
got
I didn't
the
even get the second book. But
second
anyway,
and the third.
back to Cinderella is Dead. You bought the third book too? Shut up.
Yes, it's so good. I want to read it right after I'm done.
You're gonna be gooped. You're gonna be gooped. Anyway, so back to Cinderella is Dead. I felt like the abuse was just so overt, like because you brought up the fifth season and how subtle and sinister that like racism or oppression is, and I'm just like, ooh, like not in a good way, but it's just, but like it was just
Or
good.
for racism, right? And it's so subtle. And I feel like in here, if it's meant to be a metaphor for like the patriarchy, she's just not very subtle with it. And it ruins it for me.
Yeah, it was just basically of like, yeah, I got beat.
And that's not to say that women don't get beat in real life, but that's to say that when you're living under an oppressive system, like no, like the fact that they're just walking, like people are just walking around with black eyes, and everyone's just okay with that. Like there's no effort to hide it. Like there's no. I just feel like I understand that the men are in charge, but really, if there's good men, like she wants to make the argument that her father is a good man and Luke's father is a good man and Liv's father is a
Liv's
good man.
father is a good man.
No, he is, yeah. But like no one is gonna look at all these women walking around with black eyes and be like, maybe this isn't the way.
Maybe this isn't the way. Maybe that's why the takeover was so easy because people are just like, okay, finally have an excuse to like be a good person now, I guess.
Right, finally.
But like, I guess the only subtle thing was the whole seamstress storyline of
Hmm.
like how she wasn't able to keep her own money. Like, I
Oh.
like that part of like
Hmm.
how even though the man was just like a caricature of just like
Oh, he
you
was
can have
so
your own money,
brutish.
da, da, da. But it's
I
just
remember
like
writing down at one point because he had said, like, are we a charity? And I remember writing down, but do you have a job? Like, are you bringing in any money? I refuse. Because right now, if you don't have a job, baby, you are the charity. Get it together.
yeah, no, it just overall this book could have been great. I agree with you. Someone needs to pick this up. Amazon,
Right.
Netflix, someone, even HBO. Who
No,
knows?
not Netflix. They love turning a black girl into a light skin. Amazon. Because Amazon will actually cast black people.
I don't know. The Wilds. Have you seen The Wilds?
I've not. Did they disappoint? Come on, Amazon. Amazon is usually really
It was
good.
good. It was diverse.
Hmm.
Maybe this is controversial to say, but I'm tired of seeing biracial women represent the entirety of Black women.
Oh no, that's all right. I agree.
So yeah. Anyway, this show ain't about the Wilds, but but you guys should watch it because I enjoyed it a lot. But anyway, but we're gonna be talking about YA fantasy soon. So do you have any last final thoughts on Cinderella's Dead? Spoilers, recommendations, anything?
Um, the burning of the castle was. I know we talked a little bit about that, but she was so stupid. Like, why did she burned it down? She starts the fire, and then she's like, "Oh wait, there's still people in here." Like, you haven't even explored the entire castle. What if there were other dungeons that you didn't even see? It was just very stupid. But anyway, she gets them out, and then she almost dies in the fire. She's just leave me here. Like, girl, if you don't ask for some help, somebody drag you out. Like, you just took out 30 people, and nobody's gonna drag you out. Come on, just anyway. Those are my final thoughts. Don't read this. Don't waste your time, please.
I feel so bad because like I haven't read any other reviews because I just wanted like my fresh opinion, but I feel
Hmm.
like this could be loved. Like this could be a very loved book
Hmm.
and like pretty groundbreaking because like again, I've never seen a black lesbian, a black dark skinned lesbian as a leader.
Right.
but again, I don't feel like I should ask for scraps. I wanted her to be a good character, but she wasn't.
Yeah, like I feel like just simply because this is the first person who's done it, that doesn't mean that we have to take it as the greatest. That means that it has opened up a door, and hopefully better people will come through. You know, she's actually putting out another book. I think it's this summer. And I low-key want to read it just to see if she got better at writing.
No, because like that's what happened. If you've ever read the Grisha trilogy, the first like Shadow and Bone, like that book was just like not that great. But then she came out with The Six of Crows, which is like one of the most beloved YA books ever written.
Yeah, so I low-key like want to see if she got better. Because you know, you make mistakes. It's okay.
Test runs.
Yeah, test runs. Not everything, not your first product is going to be your best product all the time. So I low-key do want to get the book. Maybe I'll rent it at the library, though. I don't want to buy it. Get the book just to see if she got better. And it's not a part of this. It's just another like fantasy book. But I would love to see if she got better. I love a good fantasy, and it's another Black character, black female lead. So I would love to see if she got any better.
All right. Well, let's just like move swiftly along to the the character rankings and who would we imagine to play. So I have a list of characters written out actually.
Okay, awesome.
So Sophia Grimmins, the main character. I would put her in like if you're going SABCDE, I would put her in E.
Oh, the very last one.
Maybe D if I'm feeling generous, but like what were her redeeming qualities?
None. I'm like, she's so brazen, she's so foolish. I just no, I understand. I understand the Sophia in E. I agree with her Sophia in E.
Who would you want to play her in Hollywood?
Do I want to put that role on anyone I like?
To be fair, honestly, I don't know like a lot of bi POC actors, like young actors. So all I know honestly is Amanda Steinberg and is it bad? That's it. Like I just don't remember names either.
You know, I'm thinking of that girl from Blackish, and I can't remember her name right now.
That girl from Blackish? Let me see if I can find a photo. If I find the photo, I'll put it up here somewhere.
Okay.
That girl from Blackish.
That girl from Blackish.
Then, all right, what do we think of Erin? I would put her in C or D.
Oh, Marseille Martin. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, Marseille Martin. Okay.
Yeah. For Erin, C or D? I would put her in C or D.
Let's go C. Let's go C.
All right.
Then Liv, I want to give her like a B or an A because she didn't deserve.
Oh, she didn't do right. We can give her an A.
Yeah.
What did she do? Nothing. She just got killed. She just believed in the system and got killed for it.
Then I would also put Luke in A.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Fairy Godmother, I would give a B because she was the most complex character.
Yeah, we actually get a little bit more about her.
Yeah, and I like, the twist of her being the mother of Prince Charming. Speaking of which, Prince Charming. C?
Really?
Like a C minus, like a D plus?
I'm feeling I can compromise with D.
Okay, D. What's your reasoning for D?
I feel like, again, I don't like a villain who's just a villain to be a villain. So that's my reason. I wanted to put him in E with Sophia. That's my reason. So I'll compromise for D.
All right. Constance, I would give her a C plus, B minus.
Yeah, I see C.
Okay. Then these are the irrelevant characters. We have Morris and Edward.
Oh, oh, they're terrible.
E. E as
Yeah.
well. Then Liv's parents are an A.
Oh, of course.
Liv's parents are an A. Then Sophia's parents are in like a D.
Yeah, I see D for them.
Yeah, and a D, they're not in E with Sophia because I feel like Sophia's parents have some type of sense. So,
Yeah, they have redeeming qualities.
all right. And yeah, that's a wrap on Cinderella is Dead. Let's just pray for a good adaptation.
Someone pick it up and make it good. That's all I'm asking.
All right. So, books being made into movies and TV shows. A tale as old as time. I and the first thing we have is making black characters lighter skinned or biracial, especially teenage black girls. So I had this whole like it's not a harebrained theory, it's just like my observation. So
Mhm.
and like I'm not a sociologist, a social
It's all right. Take your time. Sometimes words are hard. It's early in the morning. Take your time.
a sociologist. Man, I can't say it. What
A sociologist.
that one? I'm not that. I just consume a lot of media. So here we go.
Beautiful.
There's this YouTuber, I will put them up here. They made a really good video on Rue and the other black character in the Hunger
Hmm.
Games. And they basically just said how the man could be darker skinned and whatever, and that and like there was some backlash, but there wasn't really because he was silent, stoic, kept to himself.
Hmm.
Like you weren't really meant to like sympathize or empathize with this character.
Hmm.
Then Rue was a black girl,
Hmm.
and she was supposed to be darker skinned, but you know Hollywood made her lighter because that's what
Hmm.
Hollywood does. And there were this whole vitriol of just like I can't relate to this black girl dying on screen.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
sad.
like, oh, I'm worried about y'all.
And I'm just like, and it generally makes me think of like how people see actual videotapes of black people getting killed and like don't feel anything.
Right.
And in just going even back, it's just like, white children were brought to like lynchings and everything like that.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
feel like that like indoctrinated them to be like, oh, these aren't like real humans. Like they don't
Hmm.
feel pain. I'm not supposed to empathize with them. So
Hmm.
going through all of that is just how seeing black pain or like I don't think white people can like empathize with that really
Hmm.
well because of that in 2012 they were just like Rue should have been white, her death would have been more impactful. I'm like what the fuck does that even mean?
Right. Like,
um
are you hearing yourself?
yeah, and it's just and it would have been worse if she was darker skinned because if you
Right.
in the video they were talking about Annie and how they changed Annie from a white girl to
Oh,
like
yes.
a brown skinned, dark skinned black girl. And like this interviewer was just talking to her and she was just like, how does it feel to get all of that vitriolic hate when you were a child? And it was just so heartbreaking because her response is, well, I'm still a child.
Right.
And it's just like,
Yeah, like she's still a kid. Like, what's wrong with y'all? Y'all love to age up black girls.
it's just like then going into Shadow and Bone, right?
Mhm.
My bone to pick with anyway, my bone to pick with that show is his name is Jesper, or is it Jasper? Fuck. Anyway, the black one that's really good with the guns.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, oh, he was my. I read Six of Crows. I haven't read Shadow of Bone, but in Six of Crows, he was like my favorite character. And I just remember him being darker skinned, like being described as being like copper, just darker skinned.
Mm-hmm.
And in the show, he was lighter, and I'm like, okay, weird. Like, it's weird that they like made him lighter, because usually black men don't get that same
Mm-hmm.
lightening treatment. But when I thought about it, Jasper is a bisexual black man.
I was just about to ask, is he meant to be more effeminate? Because they
Yeah,
do
and
that
he's
with black
more
men if they're meant to
effeminate.
be more
So they made
effeminate.
him lighter,
Yeah,
like assumingly. And I'm just like,
because dark skinned black men can't be effeminate.
it was just so weird. And it's just so disheartening, because like I just want to see more darker skinned characters, especially in like fantasy, or just really in anything, to be honest. And especially teenage girls, because like
Right, because we
I
don't
only
exist as
see
teenagers for some reason.
I only see brown skin or dark skinned teenage girls over the age of like 30.
Right. We just come out and then we turn 30. That's it.
Like
Like there is
we
no representation for black teenage girl experience. And so it makes it hard.
Yeah, it feels like we're only meant to be like the mentors
Mm-hmm.
of like characters, or the sassy black woman, the angry black woman. It's never like we are like the heartthrob main interest, or
Mm-hmm.
it's just like it's always quirky
Or if it
black
is
random
heartthrob,
black
it's the
characters.
Jezebel.
Yeah, it's so it's just disheartening. And just thinking about TV shows in general, of like I remember, I don't know if I brought this up last week or 2 weeks ago in our Lovecraft episode, but it was just I was talking about Sleepy Hollow, and how
Mm-hmm.
the main black, like she was the main character,
Mm-hmm.
and she got pushed off of her own show
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, she was dealing with health problems. Like, you could have worked around that. Like, why? What the like? And she just Ichabod and like the whole other character, with the other witch character, like basically took over the show. But I'm like, no, it started with this black woman police officer,
Mm-hmm.
and you just like pushed her out. And I'm like,
And it's like they've worked around other people's schedules before. So you can work around this person's schedule now.
exactly. And what else was there? Sleepy Hollow really disappointed me. Um, and like the Wilds, even this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So there are these two black girl characters, and they're twins. And it's just like, it was nice seeing an interracial couple where the man is white and the woman is black. Like, I haven't seen that often, so it was good to see. But it was just like, and what I liked about that storyline, I forgot her name, but one of the twins was a diver.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how traditionally, like, some black women are just more curvier than like white women, like
Mm-hmm.
body physique wise. So, and her coach was telling her that like she can't be a diver because of like she's developing quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And like, first of all, a parent should have been there during that conversation.
Right.
um
That's a little weird.
yeah, it was a little weird. So like, I feel like the show does a pretty good job, because like, I never seen a Native American experience on
Mm-hmm.
TV, and like it in like a Desi experience too. But like, I feel like it's always, we are more palatable if we are mixed with white. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
so like, stop it. And even in Bridgerton, even like the main, it was cool that the main love interest was this like biracial black girl. But
Mm-hmm.
again, you have all of these other dark skinned black women sprinkled around in your back characters, but
Right.
your main cast is white, and there's like one light skinned biracial woman. And I'm just
Right.
like,
Is it not enough?
irate.
as you should be. Like, is it not enough? Is everything biracial, or can some things be monoracial? And then even when it comes to interracial relationships, I'm tired of seeing white people, and please go away. There are more races than white people, than white people and black people. Give me an interracial relationship without a white person. That's all I'm asking for. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's so, it is frustrating, and it makes me like, I won't be honest. There are a lot of shows I have not watched because I got to it and I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna leave now. This has been fun. Like Bridgerton, I started, didn't finish it. I will watch The Wilds because that seems like that's a good TV show, and you're not the first person that's told me that it's good. But there have been other TV shows that it's just like, I don't know, like I just don't want to, like, I know that, like, we exist. I know that there are actresses and actors out there that are dark skinned and that are young and that are doing it. So let them do it. Let them come on and do it. It's really not that hard. And then to say that you can't relate to these people as if like Black people haven't been relating to white characters for millennia. Like, you can relate. Like, you can relate. I promise you. Just don't be racist. You can relate. It's not that hard.
It's not enough to not be racist, but to be anti-racist.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just like maybe we're going too far off topic, but I'm just like, listening to the news and like listening how they're not allowing critical race theory to be taught in schools. And I feel if you don't, like, I don't even know where to start with that. Like, you're not teaching history correctly. And
Right.
I get on I do not get on TV. I'm not that popping yet.
Hmm.
But I look on TV and I see all these white teachers saying this, like, they will make us out to be the bad guy. And you were the bad guy.
Yeah, I don't know how to break that to you.
Like,
You
and just
are.
own it, accept it, and move on. Like that, be the bigger person. That is all we're asking you to do. Accept that you subjugated an entire race of people
And
and
it's like,
move on.
if we're being realistic, your ancestors are so disappointed that you aren't accepting it. Like, because they'll try to like change the story, like with Tulsa, Oklahoma, they try to change the story, Mike Pence, and be like, oh yeah, it didn't happen, like, or it, not that it didn't happen, but it wasn't racially motivated, when it very much was. And your ancestors would really just prefer if you said, yeah, we were racist and we meant it. Like, you think they put in all of these laws, they set up this entire country to work for white people, for y'all to turn your backs on that? No, they very much wanted you to be like, yeah, we're here because we're white.
If
Just
you
get it.
watched Kadija, I don't know how to say her last name. I'm not gonna butcher it, but she made a video on dog whistling politics.
Kadija on YouTube, dark
Yes,
skinned Canadian.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, dark skinned Canadian, beautiful woman,
love her.
and she was talking about dog whistling and how it wasn't in vogue to say like I hate niggers anymore. So you had
Hmm.
to say I do not appreciate the urban people moving into the suburban, like
Yeah,
like those semantics, because like, oh, like people that know that's racist would be like, okay, I support this person.
right. Richard Nixon does it all the time in his speeches. If you ever watch any of them.
Yeah, so this dog whistling, just but bringing it back to not being educated in critical race theory. I feel
Hmm.
like when you consume media, then you wouldn't be able to hear all those dog whistles.
Right.
And you would think people are overreacting when equity is being performed. Like, for example, um, black farmers are getting payments because they have been left out of owning land, squeezed out by white people ever since the Reconstruction era.
Hmm.
And you have all these Fox News mongrels saying that, like, oh, you're giving you're discriminating on race, you're giving black people a leg up over white people. Isn't that racist? Isn't that reverse racism?
But
and
is it a leg up or is it catching up?
And it's just like one dude said something along the lines of, "Oh, what's next? Are they gonna start putting white people in prison over black people, or just some stupid, some stupid?" It was something stupid.
They say stupid things that it's like, so you know what's happening. Like they'll say things and it's like, so you understand the system then. And they won't catch it for themselves. Like, how are you gonna say something like, oh, so you're gonna start putting white people in prison over black people? So you know that black people get imprisoned at a higher rate. And that's not racist to you? That there's not nothing wrong with the system there?
Because like we're talking about like this overt and covert racism where it's
Mm-hmm.
not fashionable to be overtly racism. It's more fashionable to say actually you guys are racist. You guys are the bad guys. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just weird. It's just
Yeah.
like I don't know how to combat that of someone saying actually you're being racist to me, because that makes me like defend myself and also comfort your feelings in some type of way.
No. Usually, when somebody says I'm being racist, I say okay. Like if because for white people, being called racist is the worst thing that you can call them. It's not the worst thing you can call me. If I'm being racist towards white people, okay, good. I meant it. I meant to be racist towards you. I'm fulfilling as long as black people are suffering in this country. I never want a white person to be comfortable. So I'm making you uncomfortable. I meant it. Good. Okay. Because and then another thing, I joke a lot. I joke a lot. And white people, I've had several white people tell me that that's racist. And I say, okay, because it's not the worst thing that you can call me. And that's just how I feel about it. I understand your perspective as well of like, you don't want to coddle their feelings and you do feel defensive because you're like, well, no, because this is how the system is actually working. But I feel like for me, at some point, uh, me explaining how the system is actually working is not doing anything for this white person. It's not doing anything for me either. Hell, they're not listening. They're not listening. They don't care. And I'm tired of explaining it because you know how the system works. Because you'll say stupid things like, "Are you going to start putting white people in prison over black people?" So I know you know how this system works. So I'm not going to explain it anymore. And that's not to say I won't have conversations with white people, because I do think that white people need to be included in the race conversation. That is one point that I'm like, okay, no, I do think that they need to be included because hell, they started it. So I think they need to be there. They just don't need to be leading it because they don't experience it. You can't lead something you don't experience, but you do need to be there and you need to be quiet. You need all the white people to the back, all the Caucasians to the back, but you need to be there, just in the back, being quiet and listening. Um, so I will have conversations with white people, but if you're going to be like, you're racist by pointing out the racism in this country, okay, I'm racist then. Let's move on. Good for you. Like, oh, you called me a name. Okay, I'm racist. Let's keep going.
Yeah, that's a good outlook to have. Thank you for saying that. It's because it used to really bother me. Well, it
Mm-hmm.
still does. Like if a white person called me racist, I would be like, first of all, that's not how it works.
Right.
Because I'm again,
I can
like I
only
don't know
be
if this is gonna
discriminatory
resurface
towards
in
you.
10 years and I'm gonna get fired from my job, but here we go. It
Right.
like I feel that by POC, that means Black, Indigenous, people of color cannot be racist because they do not have the power to avert racism over someone else. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like they can be anti Black, they can be prejudiced, they can be discriminatory, but they cannot be racist because they do not have the power to do that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like how I imagine it. If like an Asian person says the N word, oh, they're being anti-black. They're being
Mm-hmm.
rude. But if a white person says the N word like to another black person, I was like, oh, there's history there. There's
Right.
history there. So
Right.
that is racist. So it's just like Asian people traditionally do not have the power to like create laws, redlining. They don't
Mm-hmm.
it's Moscow Mitch that does that. Like
Mm-hmm.
not like Asian people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like but like I'm not minimizing the anti-blackness in the bi POC community because they did remember they tried to sue Harvard for their affirmative action thing.
Yeah. And
I
I think when it comes to that, I feel like Asian people, and this isn't to say that Asian people are dumb or anything, but I think Asian people have been manipulated by white people. And I think they also are complicit. There are Asian people that are like, yeah, I am the model minority and I'm perfectly fine with that. It gets me farther in this country. And I understand the needing to survive. So I won't judge too harshly because I understand that everybody needs to survive in this racist ass country. Um, but there are people that are very comfortable with being the model minority and they're all right with that and they're cool with it. And they also notice that on top of being the model minority, they also need to push away from blackness. And so they become very anti-black on top of being the model minority. And so, do I remember where I was going with this point? No.
But
So you can keep
let's bring it back to the YA thing
Harvard,
in
yes.
general.
YA, okay, we're gonna go all the way back.
We're going all the way back. Critical race theory not being taught. Like kids are gonna get, and this goes into the future of YA books. Like if critical race theory is not taught, like we're gonna have kids saying like, "Oh, why does this person have to be black? Like they are just eating. Like
why do they have to be black?" I love that question because it's like, well, why not? I'm a little confused. Do black people not exist in real life? Have you never seen one?
Because like, but sometimes I feel like I agree, and let me explain why. If you again, Shadow and Bone, all three of the main characters, Alina, Mal, and the other person I forgot, but Alina and Mal, they were supposed to be white, right? And they made them one character half Asian and the other biracial, white and black. And again, I guess they just didn't want to commit to them being fully black or whatever. But I'm not trying to like biracial people are there are both. They're not just one. They're both. I'm not trying to strip away their culture from them. I just want to make that clear. But anyway, so they made that change, and I was watching a YouTube video earlier today by an Asian creator. Cannot pronounce their name, so I will post them here. And they were just, and I'm not trying to like use their voice as like, oh, this is what all Asian people think. I just like agree with their opinion. So I'm not trying to like, oh yeah, this is an Asian person said this, so this is what it means. So I'm not trying. But they just brought up a point where racism is very surface level in the show, and why make the character Asian if you aren't going to fully commit to telling a robust story about systemic oppression regarding Asian people. Like, and it was a really good video. It's pretty short, but like, and that's my thing. If you're going to have a character be like a person of color or a BIPOC person, their whole character doesn't have to be about how they experience oppression, but it does have to be written in with care, it has to be written in correctly. And I feel like these writers are now, it's like, oh, let me add a little spice and like let me get a light skin in there. And just to be like, oh, we did have that thing, but you didn't really do anything with that. Like the author said that she wanted to make the story in Shadow and Bone more impactful by making the main character half Asian. But in the show, it doesn't really.
There's no impact if you're not going to explore what being half Asian means.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they hide behind the one token Asian writer that they do have.
I was about to ask because, or not, I was about to say, I feel like with that, I feel like it's a different question to say, why did you make this person Asian? If you're not going to explore what it means to be half Asian, than it is to, why does this character have to be black? Or why does this character have to be Asian? If we're going with the Asian and keep it on both sides. I feel like those are two different questions because they're coming from two different people. They're coming from two different sides. And then it's also like, it's not just putting people on screen that are diverse. You need to put people in the writer's room that are diverse, and people on cameras that are diverse, and people editing that are diverse, because that's going to change the entire thing. Because there are just I just see so many things, like even just like commercials that I'm like, who said okay? who said, yeah, this is our final product, and then put this out there. Like the Pepsi commercial with Kendall Jenner. Like, I know that there was not a single person of color in that room. There couldn't have been, because they would have been like, y'all, this looks like she's ending systemic oppression with a Pepsi. Like, somebody would have been in there and been like, this looks stupid. You're gonna get backlash. And then I also think sometimes, and this might be harebrained, but I think it's also been proven that, I mean, people will rely on Black outrage, and they'll be like, oh, if we can get Black people angry enough, it'll sell our product. And it's like, y'all need to get it together, because these are people's lives. Like, it's not just Black people getting angry to be angry. Like, it's Black people getting angry because, like, it's weird. Like, y'all need to, like people live these lives. It's weird. You need to stop.
Yeah, Black outrage is a whole other conversation that we should have maybe another time. But
Mm,
I feel I don't know. Maybe I'm sounding like a parrot, but if critical race theory was taught, I don't think these would be as big of issues because people would be like, "Oh, wait a minute, that's funky.
right.
That smells funky,
And
like
it
sour." Like,
and then, if we're being completely honest, critical race theory is just history. You're just teaching the history of it with a fancy name. It's just the actual history that happened. And so, listen, at this point, listen, sometimes racists aren't always the smartest people. Just change the name to history and just teach it anyway. Like, what are they gonna do? They won't know. um, but yeah, no. There was actually, in Loudoun County where I live, there was like a riot 20 minutes from my house of all these white parents. Like last week, of all these white parents, they were at a PTA meeting, and they
not a
started
PTA
fighting.
meeting.
The PTA meeting. They started fighting the PTA. Was it a PTA meeting, or it was some kind of council that was getting together to vote on? They weren't even voting on critical race theory, which I thought was the funniest thing. But the parents were there to fight about critical race theory, weren't voting on critical race theory. So don't know why you're at this meeting. That's not what we're voting on. So that's a little awkward. But they're there fighting against critical race theory because they don't want it to be taught at a meeting where they're not talking about critical race theory. And they two parents ended up getting arrested because they were fighting the council, like they were punching them. When it said fighting, I thought it meant verbally, but no, they physically got up and started fighting. For what reason, I do not know. Does it make you that angry? And then there was one dude giving a speech, and he's just like, I'm just tired of all these new words we have to learn, like equity. And I was like, equity? It's not a new word. I forgot. He listed off a whole bunch of words that were like, those are pretty, like, those are not new words. Like, those are pretty, I feel like if you go back in the history of those words, they've been around for a long time. And all these new words like equity.
Yeah, so like the future of YA, like it starts with
Education.
education and teaching kids how to read for fun. Um
Right.
cuz like what we read, I remember reading some good books cuz I had some good teachers to recommend me books. Like I read
Mm-hmm.
Their Eyes Were Watching God. I read the Birmingham Letters, even though that's
Mm-hmm.
not like a novel, but it was still relevant. To Kill an Elephant, like colonialization in India, like they're so I just feel it starts getting kids to read for fun, like, and it doesn't have to be.
Right.
Yeah, we need to read the classics because they're like relevant, but like finding books with diverse and inclusion in it and like that actually says something because I was like listening to
Mm-hmm.
NPR on the way somewhere, and Dr. Kendi was recommending
Mm-hmm.
all these books that children should read about race, and I'm like, put them into curriculum, put them into curriculum,
Right.
put them in the curriculum. So when they
Right. They should already be there.
so when they
Because
go,
why is it like so? No, you can go.
oh, thank you. So like when they go to read other books, their immediate response shouldn't be like, oh, why is this person black? It's like, oh, this person is
Mm.
black, let's like that cool, like I can relate to this character, like I
Yeah.
know, like I have knowledge and
Yeah.
context now. And so
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I think Black fantasy is just gonna like flourish. Uh, like I feel like the doors have been opened, and now we just need to like come in
Mm-hmm.
and just like tell our stories, man. We just need to like get in there and
Right.
tell our stories.
Mm-hmm.
But what were you gonna say?
And I feel like, obviously, yeah, it starts with education for children. And then you say, like, you had a teacher, you had good teachers that recommended you good books. I feel like it also, if you're going to become a teacher, then I feel like in that, while you're getting this degree to be a teacher, you also need to be reading like good books. You need to, because I feel like there are a lot of teachers, and obviously I know, like, okay, maybe not somebody who's going to go do math. You're going to be reading different books. But somebody who's going to go teach English, I feel like you do need to have a love for reading. And I feel like I've had English teachers that hated reading. And I'm, what are you here? Why are you here? What are you? I feel like there were other career paths you could have chosen. And so I feel like, yeah, you need to demonstrate in order for somebody to follow what you're saying, because you can't just say it and then not live the life. You gotta live the life a little bit. And then, because they'll always recommend summer reading lists and then not read during the summer. And I get it, you're an adult, but that no, actually I don't get it. I'm an adult and I read during the summer. That's all I do. Yeah, it also needs to happen there. But definitely critical race theory history needs to be taught accurately, because it's just getting embarrassing at this point. Like, it's just like, it's so annoying, it's so tiresome. Don't you get tired of being racist? I feel like I
No,
get so
because it
tired.
benefits
Hate every
them.
single day for no reason.
No, it benefits them.
I get it,
Of
but
course, they're
every
not
day,
being racist. They're
every single day,
letting go of that privilege.
that just seems like a lot of work. Maybe I'm just personally a little bit lazier than the average white person, but that seems like a lot of work.
No,
It's like hatred every single day.
as a white person, all you need to do to be racist is just to be like, yeah, I don't believe black people.
Oh my God, literally.
That's it.
All
That's
you
it.
it's so infuriating too, because like that, not to say that I talk to white people a lot, but the amount of times that I have talked to white people, and I'll just be talking about, like, oh yeah, this racist thing happened to me, and I'll say it, and they've, like, I've had white people look at me and be like, oh, are you sure that that's racist? Am I sure? What does that mean? Are you about to explain to me? Or I remember I was having a conversation with one of my friends. She's half Asian, half white. He was a white dude, and then it was me. And I was saying, because she was talking about how she doesn't like her nose. She thinks her nose is too big. And I'm sitting here as a black woman, like, girl, please, and let's not have this conversation. Get it together. Because, I get it. People have insecurities, but some of your insecurities are rooted in anti-blackness, and you need to unpack that. And so, I was like, oh, that's, and I told her that. I was like, oh yeah, like, that's an insecurity, but that insecurity is rooted in anti-blackness. So you're kind of being anti-black right now. And then he wants to be like, oh, I don't think that that's anti-black. Did I ask what you thought? Did I ask what you thought?
Yeah, but anyway, that's the future of YA books.
I'm
Have
very excited
teachers.
to see.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just saying I'm very excited to see it. The future of YA, Black YA.
Yeah, like have teachers that are enthusiastic about reading. Have
Mm-hmm.
teachers read actual they need to do the reading. They need to do the reading themselves
Right.
before they become a teacher. And recommend like inclusivity books or just books about
Mm-hmm.
race to children they're never too young to learn about the world that they live in and to learn that they are beautiful and that they matter. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel once history
Mm-hmm.
is taught, people will be more
Yeah.
able to critically consume what they watch and what they read. And I feel when that
Right.
happens, the fantasy is going to be off the hook, the speculative fiction is going to be off the hook, and all that.
Right. I'm very excited. I mean, I'm excited for what's coming out now. Before any of that even happens, it's amazing, off the hook, very good. But I'm even more excited for when our world is a little less oppressive, and the fantasy can focus on something other than oppression. Because I
True.
would love to see, yeah, I would love to see fantasy that isn't isn't oppression focused. Even though the oppression focused, don't get me wrong, they're still writing amazing work. But I would love to see something outside of that. But first, we got to get our world there.
Yeah, first we gotta get our world there. Um, if there are no other thoughts on the future of YA, we can move on to our recommendations.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I'm ready for recommendations.
All right, you can go first. I should have. Let me look at my song playlist real quick.
Ooh, do I? Yeah, I was going to tell you to go first. Do I have recommendations ready? I don't know. I feel like when I was reading Cinderella is Dead, nothing came to mind. It inspired nothing within me.
All right, I have a song
Go for it.
I've been listening to on repeat. It's on the album After the Rain Deluxe by Young Baby Tate and her song Bounce.
Love Young Baby Tate.
Listen, that song is so good. I love that song. So yeah, that's like my recommendation. I should have wrote a list down, but like that's what
Going in the same music channel, I would recommend Planet Her by Doja Cat, her new album that just came out, because it's very fantastical. The images of her music videos have been amazing. Definitely Planet Her. Also, Tyler the Creator, because he's always just doing out of the box things. Willow Smith, always doing out of the box things. I'm very excited to see what album comes from that. Yeah.
I also music that has just like inspired me in general was Janelle Monáe's like first album. What's it called? What was it called? With Cindy Mayweather? Oh, man. Metropolis. I think it was Metropolis. That was like really good. I just really liked her whole concept for her album, like one of her first albums, like Metropolis album. Then a manga I would read if I have any manga readers out here. I would read Chainsaw Man.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic, fantastic. I binge read that shit. Good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those are my recommendations.
And those are mine. I mean, I'm gonna recommend the 5th season, even though we're gonna be talking about it in another episode. But it's amazing. I recommend the entire trilogy because the first book is already so good. I'm just gonna throw that in there.
All right. Well, this has been the second episode in the bag for M&W Fiction Speaks. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. We're gonna take July 3rd off, that weekend off. Then we're gonna be back that following week. So,
I'm
anything
excited.
else? Em?
No, I'm excited for the next episode.
Yeah, that the next episode gonna be tight.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited.
All right, bye guys. Bye.